Alright, hey guys, welcome to the video. If you're new here, my name is Curtis, and lately I've been getting a lot of requests to do a citrusy based video. So fragrances that feature a prominent note of citrus that work well in the springtime. So I just decided to go ahead and put together a list of fragrances that fit perfectly in that category. So if you're curious to hear my thoughts and opinions on these fragrances, then let's go. First up, from the house of Atelier des Ors, we have Blanc Polychrome. Man, so this is freshly picked lemon and oranges. You do have some green facets in here from the petitgrain. And so that's why I feel like anytime a fragrance has green kind of facets like that, it fits perfectly in the springtime. So that combination of citruses and green facets make for just an intoxicating and refreshing combination that I absolutely love. In terms of performance of this fragrance, you do get kind of moderate projection and moderate sillage. However, the longevity that I get on my skin is about 8 to 10 hours. So that's quite impressive considering that it's mainly kind of a citrusy based fragrance. But yeah, this is a lovely wear. It's an easy wear. And yeah, it fits perfectly in those warmer temperatures. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Blanc Polychrome by Atelier des Ors. Next up, from the house of Ormond Jane, we have Montobaco Verano. All right, so for me, this is a spicy, citrusy fragrance with a lot of depth and character. You do have some tobacco, some tea, a bit of sandalwood, some oak moss in here. I don't really pick up on the tobacco all that much, so I think it's subtly tucked away into the background in here. But this fragrance also has a really unique air accord in it, which I think in terms of my collection, this is the only fragrance that I have that contains that accord. So yeah, I guess it makes it quite unique to my own collection. But yeah, this is just a very clean, citrusy fragrance, and it's very versatile. You can wear it to the office casually. You can even dress this one up formally. I think the house of Ormond Jane is just a very classy and elegant house. So if you want to, if you're more of the dapper style of gentleman or even very elegant lady, then Ormond Jane is a house to definitely check out. And I'm curious to check out Montobaco Intensivo. I know Verano's kind of a spin-off of that fragrance. So yeah, I definitely want to get my nose on that if I can. It's on the sample list for sure. But yeah, this is a great one. Like I said, just very easy and pleasant wear. I get kind of, moderate sillage, moderate projection with this fragrance. But yeah, it's a great wear and definitely one to check out. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Montobaco Verano by Ormond Jane. Next up, from the house of Nichane, we have Hacivat. All right, so this one has received so much hype in the fragrance community, and rightfully so. It kind of gets compared to Creed Aventus, which I don't really buy into all that much. For me, yeah, it does share that kind of pineapple-y opening, but that's about it. With this fragrance, you get that heavy blast of citruses, so that pineapple, the grapefruit, and the bergamot. And then once you push into the dry down, this fragrance is all about that, a bit of woods and some oak moss. And that oak moss is quite prominent. So if you're someone who does not like the note of oak moss, you might want to steer clear of this fragrance. But for me, man, I love it. And I know for some people that citrusy opening in here comes off a bit screechy, but for me, it adds a lot of depth and character to this fragrance that I absolutely love. And this fragrance is no slouch in the performance category. It is, quite beast mode for a lot of people, but I know some people have complained about, maybe reformulations. I don't know, I get good performance out of my bottle of Hacivat, but I have had this one for a few years. But yeah, this is a lovely one and definitely one to check out. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Hacivat by Nichane. Next up, from the house of Mancera, we have Vetiver Sensuel. All right, so this one has to be one of the easiest vetiver fragrances to wear. If you're someone who is just getting into the note of vetiver, this might be a good place to start. As you guys know, if you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you know that vetiver is one of my favorite notes in fragrance. Vetiver just has so many facets and it can really take you on a journey. Prime example of that is Sultan Vetiver by Nichane. that fragrance has 4 different kinds of vetiver in it, so it takes you through all the different facets. This one's a bit more simple. This one for me just comes off as like a soapy, citrusy vetiver fragrance. That vetiver is pushed in the background, so it's not necessarily dominating the mix of this fragrance, but this one is just soapy clean, citrusy fresh, and it's a very easy wear. This one goes off extremely well in the spring and the summertime. And yeah, I started to put a little bit of a dent in this fragrance. And for me, when I wear this one, I do about 6 sprays, sometimes 7. I'll hit my arms and my neck. But yeah, it works a treat. It leaves an amazing sillage, and people tend to really like this one. I think because of its light, citrusy, airy presence that it has. Yeah, it tends to go off really well, especially here in Japan it does. It works really well. But this is a lovely one and definitely one to check out. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Vetiver Sensuel by Mancera. And finally, from the house of Javoy, we have Incident Diplomatique. All right, so this one is a lovely vetiver and patchouli fragrance, but the reason why I've included this one on the list, because it does have a heavy citrusy note in here, and on my skin, it lasts through the entirety life of this fragrance. So yeah, I had to include it on the list. But yeah, this is basically vetiver and patchouli going head to head, but in the end, vetiver kind of wins out as the dominant note, in my opinion. And I love the note of vetiver, as you guys know. So yeah, this fragrance is, I kind of go back and forth between like Sultan Vetiver and Incident Diplomatique, but in terms of being my top vetiver fragrance. But yeah, so I mean, it's a constant battle with me, and you guys know we go through these moods and kind of, I'm feeling this one, or I'm not really feeling this one this time, so we go on this journey. We kind of have our ups and downs, but yeah, I love this one. And like I said, the fact that that citrusy note lasts through the entirety of this fragrance is quite unique, because as you guys know, in perfumery, citrus notes tend to fade fairly quickly. So I'm not sure how they were able to do that, but yeah, it's quite impressive. But one thing about this fragrance, which, when I first started wearing it, it took me a little bit to get used to, was in the deep dry down, it almost goes a bit ashy. That vetiver turns a bit ashy. And I remember it just took me a little bit to get used to. So I was a little taken back. I wasn't sure if I liked it all that much, but now I actually love it. And I look forward to the deep dry down of this fragrance, because I really, really enjoy that part of this fragrance so much. But this is such a stunning fragrance, and it's definitely one to check out. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Incident Diplomatique by Javoy. All right, guys, so that's all I have for you for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content, and let me know down in the comments section, do you know any of the fragrances that I've shown you today? And what are some of your favorite fragrances that contain the note of citrus to wear in the spring? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Well, I hope you guys are staying healthy and well, and I'll see you in the next video.